Welcome to Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
And my name's Abdullah.
We're the Holistic Kids here to educate and empower us kids from the inside out. We can't wait for you to hear all the amazing things our next guest is up to. It will blow your mind.
Today it is our honor to talk to a pediatrician with over 38 years of experience in acute and integrative medicine, Dr. Michelle Perro.
Hi, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Perro.
Thank you, Zane. Thank you, Abdullah.
Michelle Perro, Michelle Perro, MD, DHOM, is a veterinarian pediatrician with over 38 years of experience in acute and integrative medicine. More than 15 years ago, Dr. Perro transformed her clinical practice to include pesticide and health advocacy. Dr. Perro has managed her own business, Down-to-Earth Pediatrics, creating a new field of integrative urgent care medicine. Dr. Perro has co-authored the highly acclaimed book, What's Making Our Children Sick, and is executive director of a nonprofit scientific-based website, GMOscience.org.
And Dr. Perro, we would love to hear your story. What is driving you to help us kids and do all the amazing things you are doing and joining us on the show?
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, guys. I'm so stoked to be here today. It's blowing my mind too, just so you know. So what happened? I've been taking care of kids for a long time. I really like kids. Some people don't like them as much as I do. I find that hard to believe, and we should be protecting our kids. So I was taking care of kids in my office, and I was doing it a long time because I'm old. And then I said, gee, kids seem sicker than they used to be. A lot more problems with things like asthma, breathing problems, kids having a hard time sleeping, kids having a hard time focusing in school. And so I kind of put the pieces together, and I read a lot. So when I don't know something, you know what I do? I open a book or I search for it, right, on different search engines, and I use all different kinds of searching. And then what happened was I learned about, through a book I read, GMO, genetically modified organisms, and the pesticides you use with them. And once I learned all about that, I put it together and I started putting the pieces of the puzzle to understand why our kids were getting sicker. That's how it all started.
So let's dive right in. We have a growing problem of chemicals in our food and in our environment. So let's start with our food. Besides for all the chemicals in our food, we have a problem with the most processed foods that kids eat. Have chemicals and GMOs. Genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, are organisms that have been artificially changed in the lab. Their genetic material has been messed with to create combinations of plant, bacteria, virus, or animal genes that don't naturally occur. GMOs were made to handle a lot more chemicals to the plants without killing the plants. A pesticide named glyphosate is an active ingredient in Roundup, the chemical that they use to kill weeds. These genetically engineered plants are called Roundup Ready crops. The World Health Organization, who relabeled glyphosate as a possible carcinogen. It is toxic to our gut organism, make our cells not work well, and even mess with our hormones. Unfortunately, 80% of GMO seeds are Roundup Ready varieties, and most packaged and processed foods contain ingredients derived from GMO, like soy, canola, corn, sugar beets, and more. There are more than 750 different products sold in the US that contain high levels of glyphosate. Dr. Perro, in all kids' processed foods, you can see sugar, corn, and soy products. So, are GMOs and pesticides a problem for kids' health?
You know, Abdullah, I think I should be interviewing you because you got your stuff down, dude. Awesome. That was an excellent summary. So, yes, gentlemen, let me explain a little bit. I do believe, based on science, because I'm a science based physician, that the GMOs and pesticides are affecting our kids' health. And it's done kind of different ways. One of the main ways I focus on is glyphosate, as you said, which is the main ingredient in Roundup and all those other formulations that you mentioned, correct? Over 750 worldwide, not just the US. What it is an antibiotic. And most kids know that antibiotics are designed to kill bad bugs, right? Well, those bugs, it's also called the microbiome. They are not all bad. Some of them are amazingly helpful. And as a matter of fact, we have more bacteria in us than human cells. We're mostly bacteria. I know. And so these bacteria, they're super cool. What they do is one, they help you clear toxic stuff, yucky stuff out of your body. So that's really important. They help your immune system, the system that fights germs, invading foreign germs that you don't want in your body, helps fight them. Also awesome. And they're incredible. They produce all kinds of vitamins that your body needs to function. So all the kids are eating this glyphosate. It's in everything, especially processed foods like you guys already mentioned. Kills off these beneficial, healthy, helpful germs in our guts called the microbiome. And then kids' guts are a mess. And when your gut is a mess, what happens? Brain is a mess. We can't focus, we can't learn, we can't sleep, and our moods go cranky, irritable, can't, fighting with our brothers and sisters, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what happened. That's one of the big things. Glyphosate does other things as well, but that's what I like to focus on. That the company that made it, Monsanto, and they're now owned by Bayer, knew it was an antibiotic and have what we call a patent for it for 10 years. So we've known that for a long time. So does that answer your question, guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, is that good thing? Did I cover it?
Yep.
Okay, good. All right. Awesome.
That's terrible. So if you take these foods out, can someone heal?
Dude, let me tell you, kids' bodies want to heal themselves. So when you put in the right ingredients, which are organic, and what I like to say, regenerative, meaning the soil is super healthy, super rich. Soil is not just like a bunch of dirt. It's alive. And plants need to grow in this stuff that's alive. So when you give kids the soil, the nutrients they need to grow, their guts can heal. Now, some kids have so many problems. By the time I see them, I have to do other things and give them other stuff. But if kids are just basically doing okay, and you give them the nice nutrients grown without chemicals, their tummies will heal. It's amazing.
Amazing.
I know, it's amazing.
A lot of my kids don't think we need to eat, or a lot of my friends don't think we need to eat organic. So, do we really need to eat organic?
You know, that's what my kids who are grown-ups now ask me, Mom, really? Do I have to eat organic all the time? And I say, yes. And here's why. We don't know how much glyphosate's in everything. If it's not organic, it has glyphosate. Some kids can handle a little bit. Some kids can't handle it at all. We don't know which kids can handle a little bit. But some government agencies feel, well, gee, a little bit is not bad. It's called dose makes the poison. So you need a lot of it to get sick. We now know that's not true. Even a little bit of glyphosate can affect the microbiome, those germs in your tummy, as well as a system called your endocrine system, which is your hormones, like things like that run your sugar and that run your mood. So little bits can really make a difference. So I say yes, we all need to eat organic as best we can and help educate our friends and their parents when they don't.
And what is the difference between organic and non-organic?
You know, a lot of adults, a lot of grown-ups don't know the answer to that. So the definition of organic means that it's grown without GMOs, without any chemicals like pesticides. And pesticides are three types. They have ones that kill plants, herbicides, one that kill insects, insecticides, and one that kill fungi, which are like yeast, called fungicides. And all kinds of, so we eat all that stuff if it's not organic. We're eating, the average food has at least 6 different pesticides, not just Roundup. So we're eating that. Yes. So that is another reason why we have to eat organic. And so they're putting this stuff like Roundup, not just on GMOs, they even use it on crops that they're trying to dry them, like wheat and legumes, like hummus. Lots of kids like hummus. Do you guys like hummus?
Yeah.
Hummus.
Yeah, I love hummus. Dude, love. Well, those garbanzo beans where you get hummus filled with pesticide, unless it's organic. So you're getting a big dose of glyphosate every time you eat. It affects your tummy, affects your brain. How can we learn? How can we go to school and learn? We can't.
Ew.
Ew.
Ew. Ew. I know. Ew.
Some GMOs contain Bt toxin. What is that?
So, you know, we have borrowed some things from nature. There's this germ, it's a kind of bacteria that produces naturally an insecticide. So we've taken that, we've genetically modified it, meaning we changed its genetics, put it into corn, and so that each kernel of corn can now contain is like an insecticide. So we've modified it so that when the insects eat any kernel of corn, their tummies burst open. So we were told that our stomachs are too acidic, that those BT corn wouldn't affect humans. But only 2 studies, only 2 papers, only 2 people looked at that's true. And both showed that that wasn't true. So now we've got a little BT insecticide floating inside of us, and many of us are not breaking that stuff down. So it's another kind of GMO, which stands for genetic modification, meaning we're changing the genetic structure.
Yeah, I know it. I know it disrupts the microbiome.
So how can kids stay away from GMOs?
Yeah, so this is what I tell kids. How, my gosh, with everything having GMOs, how do we stay away from it? Okay, if you eat organic, you're going to stay away from GMOs. Now, I should say, for full honesty here, that because GMOs are so everywhere and they blow. So if you have 2 fields next to each other, one's GMO and one isn't, and there's wind, the GMO seeds can blow over. So a lot of our organic crops, like corn and soy, are contaminated. But even so, it's still better to eat as much organic as you can. But what happens when you can't? Let's just say you can't do it. So I avoid the foods that have GMOs, and that's mostly corn, soy, and canola. You try to just avoid those. Canola is a kind of a seed where we make a lot of oil from it, and they use it a lot in restaurants. And then I tell folks, eat food that you make. So try to avoid processed foods and drink filtered water. So people, they do that and eat a lot of healthy foods, lots of fiber for your gut, lots of veggies. And what did I say?
Veg.
I said veggies. Eat lots of veggies. The microbiome loves that fiber, loves it. And we're feeding not just ourselves, but the germs in our gut.
We stopped eating out because of the GMOs. We actually just came from an organic restaurant.
Yay! Support those restaurants. I do here where I live in California. And when a restaurant goes organic, I let them know. I thank them. I tell my friends. We have to support the restaurants because organic food is more expensive than conventionally grown food, which uses a lot of pesticides and GMOs. So we have to support those businesses that have gone organic.
We are exposed to more chemicals, more and more chemicals, pesticides, drugs, and radiation than ever before, with more than 100,000 new chemicals coming daily. The liver is important for detoxifying the body. So, if there are lots of toxins, then there's more work for the liver to get rid of the toxins.
Yeah.
Toxins can mess with up your body, mess up your hormones, increase blood sugar, lead to inflammation and disease. Toxins can be found in cleaning products, in soaps, and your laundry detergent, and even your cookware. We make sure we eat to detoxify with lots of greens, stay away from chemicals, and make sure we sweat daily. Even take an Epsom salt bath. Easy things that we can do to detoxify. What are other ways kids can detoxify?
Well, Dr. Abdullah, I see a medical school in your future. Okay, so you've labeled the major ones. You're absolutely spot on. You have to decrease this toxic load that we're carrying. We have to cut it back. We have to cut it back by what goes in our mouths and what's around us. So the big way, organic food. We've covered that. Number 2, filtered water. There's a lot of bad metals. They're called heavy metals that are in old pipes, like lead, not good for the brain, and other ones. And they have found them even in schools with lead in the pipes. Got to get rid of that stuff. Not good for the brain. So we clean up our water. We clean up the environment, as you said. We decrease our use of toxic chemicals. We green our cleaning supplies with the products we use, shampoo, and taking our shoes off at the door. Dust is one of the most toxic things we bring into our home. So I tell kids, hey, dude, can you take your shoes off at the door? My husband hasn't learned that yet, so maybe you guys can help me teach my husband how to do that. So he's having a problem with learning. So we take our shoes out the door, and so we decrease our toxic load. We stay physically active. We sweat. We drink a lot of filtered water. And here's a special tip. Now, fermented foods. You guys like fermented foods?
Yes.
So sauerkraut, pickles, things like kombucha, kimchi, and every morning I drink a little apple cider vinegar, which I make myself. Super easy. Sometimes it gets contaminated with fruit flies, and okay, that happens to me too. But I make my own, and I put a little bit in my water, and I drink it. Why? Because it has been shown that apple cider vinegar is one of the healthiest ways to get rid of glyphosate. We even give it to cows. Apple cider vinegar and sauerkraut. And a lot of kids who don't like sauerkraut, I put a little bit of the juice in their food. Yeah, I know it's kind of strong. You put a little bit of that sauerkraut juice in your food, can't even taste it. And that really helps your gut bugs, your microbiome. So these are some things we can do. And it's a practice because it takes time to change over. So we work toward it. It's like a marathon. We keep kind of making these changes, going toward our goals.
So are toxins leading to sickness in kids?
Yes, they are. And there are different groups of toxins that make kids sick. So we covered the pesticides really well, but there are other groups of pesticides, and they're like everywhere. There are things like plastics, and that's why we try to use stainless steel, sometimes ceramics or glass. But, some parents don't want to give their kids glass to go out of the park or school when things go back to normal. So I'd say, here's my water bottle. This is what I keep on my desk, stainless steel. That's one thing we can do. So the other groups are things like chemicals made from oil. They're called petrochemicals, also not good. And then there are other chemicals that you get like from cookware. Have you ever seen this? They make pots where things don't stick. It's called Teflon. Teflon is super bad, super, super bad. And it makes kids' hormones all messed up. And this one area in the US, they dumped a whole bunch of it in the water in West Virginia and Ohio. And those kids have all kinds of health problems. So these kind of things we want to reduce without making ourselves crazy. Like if we go nutty, then what's the point, right? We don't want to go nutty factor. No nutty, but just curious, cautious, observant, and learning like you guys are doing. So yes, there are other groups of chemicals. We want to lower them.
We also eat to keep our bodies alkaline with lots of sulfur and fiber foods. And foods with glutathione, and a super important antioxidant. So we focus on raw fruits, vegetables, herbs, and spices, which have the most potent detoxifying effects. So get as many servings in as possible. We can also help our body make its own glutathione by eating plenty of garlic, onions, cilantro, and cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, kale, cauliflower, and cabbage.
What are other things kids can do to detoxify?
So you are spot on yet again, because food is medicine, right? So, we've known that for a long time, like by Hippocrates, the father of medicine. He was a Greek guy around about 2,000 years ago. So those foods, so eating food as medicine is super right on, and you want to keep those substances which you have labeled. A lot of them are called antioxidants. So oxidation is kind of like rusting inside your body. So we don't want to rust. So we eat foods like the ones you've mentioned, especially those sulfur containing foods on your list. Those help us detoxify. So that's a super important thing. And keeping the glutathione up, super important, especially now, like during COVID time. You want to be able to eat these antioxidants. I would say other things kids can do, I use different supplements, but I would rather not. I like to start with diet. But sometimes we integrative doctors, we give some supplements like things like vitamin D. It's hard to get that in your food. You can get it in sunshine. Vitamin D keeps you really healthy. Some kids, I give them multivitamins. And the reason I do that is because food, the amount of good stuff in food, is called the nutrient density, has gone down over the years because our soil quality, we're not protecting it. And a lot of it's coming from air pollution. So sometimes I give multivitamins. And some kids, I've even given them probiotics and more fiber. It's called prebiotics. I always start with diet though, Abdullah. Saying I don't like to give supplements, but when I do, I try to use clean, natural ones, and not forever, and get kids working again, and then I get them off. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now, people are using a lot of hand sanitizer that can have chemicals in it. So how can we keep the virus away and still not have a lot of chemicals?
You and I are in the same way, guys, because I've been worrying about that too. All those chemicals in that hand sanitizer, not good. So, yes, we want to keep the virus away. Soap and water. You don't need the hand sanitizer, plain old soap and water. But let's say you're out, you can't get soap and water. There are cleaner hand sanitizers that you can either make. There are YouTubes now where you can make your own. That's not very expensive. And you can get cleaner ones at stores like Whole Foods that you can carry in your backpack that you can use on your hands, especially before you eat. So I recommend soap and water is still the best. Now, there are things that you can use, like hydrogen peroxide. And that is something that's not toxic. And sometimes I use that. And I try not to use a lot of bleach and things like that. Sometimes I use when I have to, but for the hands, I say number one is still soap and water.
True. And stay away from acidic foods like consistence of dairy, processed foods, sugar, flour, and GMO foods. What other foods should we stay away from?
That's a good list. So obviously, your list. And then some kids need to come off gluten sometimes, and that's really between the practitioner and who the family is working with. Sometimes when kids are having issues, I take them. Gluten is in like bread. It's really yummy, but once you come off it, you kind of lose the taste for it. It's amazing. I would say kids need to stay off processed foods. Processed foods are things you can buy off the shelf that can live on a shelf for 2 or 3 years and not go bad. How alive can that food be? Food has life in it, and you want to eat the foods that are most living. And I tell all kids, see if you can grow your own, because one of the young men I know, Daniel, he's 9, he grew beans himself, he cooked them for me, and he made me black beans, and they were super delicious. And you can live in an apartment and grow your own seeds and learn how to grow your own, especially herbs. Herbs like the one you mentioned before, cilantro. There are other really good herbs that you can add to your smoothies, like parsley, herbs like, there's so many good, rosemary, thyme. They're really healthy herbs that you can add to cooking when you help dad and mom in the kitchen. And you notice everyone goes in the kitchen, including kids. Kids in the kitchen. It's fun to use knives, right? Isn't it fun to chop?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I love chopping. So yes, we're all in the kitchen, we're all helping cook, and so I say that's what we do.
What is one way kids do today to lower their toxic load?
If the best thing I could think of that what kids can do is to try not to do takeout foods, and to bring as foods if they're going when they go to school and stuff, is to bring their own foods that they themselves have made. More home cooked foods. So the more families are cooking together, the less takeout we eat, the less processed foods. If we can do that with looking for that organic label, the better off we'll be. Now, we can't be perfect, and I'm not saying, oh my God, you ate something that wasn't organic. Oh, no. Hey, no food shaming. We don't food shame, okay? We say, okay, we'll do better next time. And sometimes if there are certain foods we can't eat, and that happens when we go to visit friends or something, we bring our own, just bring your own snacks, your own sticky snacks. So when kids are going to a party, let's say, or a get together, and let's say they don't eat dairy, they can bring their own snacks in your lunchbox. Off you go. So that's how we kind of learn to accommodate. And I think kids should be forgiving of other kids who are on special diets, right? We shouldn't say, oh, cool, maybe I can learn about what kind of food you're eating. So we can really embrace all kids, all different diets.
To recap Dr. Perro's key points, us kids can change the world inside and out. But first, we gotta start with taking care of our bodies. And it starts all the basics.
Yeah, number 1, stay away from the traditional processed foods, as it could have it could have GMOs in it, and that can make us very sick. The foods to stay away from are sugar, canola, corn, and soy. It's found in most food for like products. Number 2, help your body detoxify by eating the rainbow with lots of fiber. Focus on lots of veggies, clean protein, and healthy fats. Number 3, sweat daily. Take an Epsom salt bath and make sure you're going to the bathroom daily to get all the bad stuff out. 4, change all the bad stuff around the house, like chemicals and non-stick pans, to natural products throughout your house and body. And we use glass and ceramic in your house. It's number 5. It's so easy. Just start with one thing and slowly work with your parents to make small changes. Your liver will thank you, and so will your body.
That was so empowering. Where can we learn more about you and your amazing work?
Thank you, gentlemen. There's one thing I'd like to add on before I tell you how to find me, and your list was perfect. I want to stress one thing that we didn't talk about is poop. I love talking about poop, and everybody else does too. That, oh my gosh, if we're not pooping every day, we're not helping our bodies, because that poop helps us detoxify. So kids, if you're not pooping every day, because sometimes parents don't know how often you're going in the bathroom, right? You shut the door, no one knows. Let mom and dad know so they can help you with that. The way we fix that is we increase our water and we increase our fiber. And fiber comes from what kind of foods? Where does the fiber come from?
It comes from then.
Fiber comes from my favorite group, the food kids love the most in the whole world, veggies.
Veggies. It comes from fruits, raw vegetables, herbs.
Yep, fruits, veggies, herbs. My favorite
food.
Those make us poop better. We love all those foods and then you want to have a healthy poop every day. So where people can find me, I wrote a book for parents, and kids need to tell their parents to read the book, What's Making Our Children Sick. And I have a website called www.gmoscience.org for parents. And I will be having a high school section very soon. I'm working on it. And I have a GMO Science YouTube channel with videos on there that parents can watch. So please, kids, teach your parents.
Everyone, make sure to follow Dr. Perro on social media.
Thank you, Dr. Perro. You are amazing. Thank you for all the amazing work you are doing.
Thank you, Zane. Thank you, Abdullah. I appreciate it. Love chatting with you guys. Awesome.
Us too. Okay.
Until next time, I'm Zane Ansari.
And I'm Abdullah.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom MD. And look out for my mom's book, The Holistic RX, your guide to healing chronic inflammation and disease. And the amazing children's book we wrote together, coming in September, Adam's Healing Adventures. So exciting! Join us next week for another episode of the Holistic Kids, where kids are empowering kids. Together, we can keep our future struggles, but you got this. We are here for you, real healing for real life.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Perro.
Thanks, guys.